Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final game of the night between iG.Vitality and EHOME. It is, of course, MLPDota, joined by johnxfire. John, I don't want to say it was a convincing game, number one, but it still ended rather short. How did you feel about it? Do you feel like iG.Vitality put up a decent fight, or was EHOME toying with them a bit with the Core Shadow Shaman? What happened?
I feel like iG.V did put up a good fight, Mike. I think it came down to a couple of odd decisions, well, a few bad team fights, and some rather unfortunate situations. Especially, that Chronosphere during the Hurricane fight. That was a big one. That really sealed the end of the game. iG.V goes for the IO this time, though, Mike. It slipped through the first phase bans.
Yeah, this is very unusual to see this happen. Mind you, though, considering it's a new patch, John, we don't exactly know who he's gonna combo that IO with. It's like of course we were watching a lot of Chinese Dota about a month ago, and it was consistently, if the IO came out, they would go for the gyrocopter straight after, but the gyro wasn't really touched in this new patch, and the dazzle made it as well. That was,
oh boy.
It's a hero that's been banned over and over again every game, but this is the first time we get to see either of these heroes. They do go for the gyro. Yeah, that's weird. That's strange.
Yeah. It's going back to something they're comfy with, I'm sure. I'm sure this is a strat they've really practiced a lot. I'm not so sure how it fares now. IO did get tweaked for the spirits at very least. That cooldown was tweaked, I believe. It's pretty much it with the IO. But the gyrocopter, I'm not sure if it's as potent as it is. Even in the last patch, you'd see certain lineups where the IO gyrocopter combination just didn't seem too invulnerable. It didn't look as terrifying as it usually does. We'll see if iG.V can pull it off in this new patch, Mike, but I have a feeling it's just a bit underwhelming. Even back in 719, I always felt a bit underwhelmed when I'd see this draft in the first phase.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you see the they did nerf the flak cannon a while ago. It's still a strong combination in the right hands. Like, we did see multiple teams pull it off very, very well, but in this new patch, I don't know how well it's going to go. Like, you're up against the Dazzle Beastmaster, both of which have been buffed a lot. Not to mention there's still 3 other picks to go, and you've basically set exactly what you're going to be doing this game. Against the Beastmaster as well, who can scout out the jungle, see where the gyrocopter's farming. I don't know, John. I think we're both a bit concerned here for iG. Nevertheless, though, there's still 3 heroes to go on either side, so I guess we'll get to see, what's coming out and what they combo it with, but I guess it goes back to your initial point. It's probably something they're very comfortable with, and that's what they really want to use for the game number 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't fault them for that. Again, a lot of options for EHOME to play around that, though. Like, the most popular one is usually the Void. I think the Morphling is fairly popular when this combination comes out as well. The Lich probably doesn't fare as well as it used to, not without sacrificing or taking away that XP. So I think with this lineup with Morphling, you're already gonna cause a lot of problems for iG.V. Because again, you just morph into gyrocopter, flak cannon, morph back.
I gotta say, it is slightly depressing seeing these heroes coming back out this early on in 7.20. But nevertheless, Shadow Shaman, that's something a bit newer. Coming out from iG.Vitality, always good to see. Again, the point you made, the Morphling, he's just going to have a great old time. Just morphing in, stealing the homing missile, stealing the flak cannon more importantly. I mean, mind you, IO gyro is still scary, but I don't know. EHOME, what do they go for?
It's a fairly open draft from EHOME. The Dazzle, it's just a very solid sort of support. And really powerful. That bad juju does a lot of work, I believe. It was recently nerfed, if I remember right, Mike, in 7.20B.
Slightly.
It was affected there.
Yeah, I believe, look, I'll bring it up right now so we can, tell the viewers exactly what it was. But I don't believe it was too massive. I think Dazzle is still pretty pretty darn good in this patch.
Radiant team picked.
Yeah, so Poison Touch, the mana cost was increased by 30 at max. So it's 140, and Bad Juju debuff duration reduced from 10 to 8. So it's just the duration went down by 2 seconds. Lena and Rubik coming up. iG.Vitality is still playing very safe with their draft, and EHOME, well, I suppose the Rubik is still relatively safe in its own right.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. You have two heroes that can basically steal spells. How often have we seen a Rubik and a Morphling together? I'm pretty sure not too often ourselves.
No.
So it should be fairly interesting to watch just how much EHOME can take away from iG.V and use for themselves. I'm keen to see what the last picks are, though. Like, I'd have to say I'm more excited by EHOME's draft, again, on basis that they are using, Beastmaster, who got a bit of a rework, Dazzle as well, who got a skill rework, and iG.V's just feels a bit more standard. It feels like something from the last patch.
iG.V. Final banouts do come out, the Brewmaster, Skywrath Mage both being banned, and see how they finish this off. Like, it does feel like they need some kind of decent offlane on their end, but again, both drafts are still decently open to the point where they could really run anything anywhere they want. And both teams also have a lot of reserve time, so we'll probably be sitting here for just a bit. But back to that Dazzle, John. That Bad Juju nerf, like from 10 seconds to 8 seconds, does that... It's a nerf, but does it really matter that much?
I'd say it's still pretty strong. Like, the skill is definitely still very strong. You just have a tighter window to play around. Still strong. It's just not maybe as ridiculous as it was before, but it's definitely not something to say, oh, okay, the hero's kind of balanced.
Well, iG, still letting this reserve time tick down. I do wonder, like, what will be the last pick? What do they need here? Like, it does feel like they need, like, some decent tanky initiation on their end of things to get the team fight really started. And if we want to go old school, you can always pick up something like a Tidehunter if you really want, who did get buffed quite substantially over 7.20.
They could go for a off-lane Centaur. An actual core Centaur, I think, would work out well in this lineup. You could always just stampede out if you somehow get jumped. You can initiate as well. You do a good amount of damage, and you can kind of hold the lane, especially with a Shadow Shaman to help you out. So I think that's a fair option for iG.V for them to consider. I think that Centaur is pretty good.
We're going to find out very soon. They've literally gone all the way down. In fact, they'll stop with 12 seconds. They do go for the Legion Commander. I believe this is the second time we're seeing this today. I guess it's pretty decent up against that Morphling, John, but how do you feel about this?
Not good. I have to tell you, I don't feel very good about this Legion Commander pickup. Up against a Beastmaster and a Dazzle. That just makes it very hard. You're going to have to prioritize dueling the Dazzle if you want to have any hope of killing someone. Or at the very least, you have to kill the Dazzle first. And then you're going to have to worry about the Beastmaster after.
Yeah.
There's a lot of single target control that could go on this Legion Commander. Without a fast BKB, you're not going to be bursting anyone by jumping in. Your duel is basically just to get attention to yourself while hoping for follow-up from your teammates.
So overall, before we get into the game, John, I continue to ask this question, but who has the better draft going to game number 2?
I'd have to say EHOME. I like the draft a bit more. I feel like picking Morphling into Gyrocopter is, it usually works out for the Morphling for the most part. Dragonite as well, we've seen just how much this hero brings to the pool. And I feel like there's a lot of control coming out for EHOME. They can control up the Legion Commander, which, for me, it's still a very strange pick, considering that it's a Dazzle Beastmaster opening. So it's already a very hard game to get any sort of duel wins off Legion Commander. And it just leaves me a bit worried for iG.V. iG.V does have a lot of push potential coming out. The Lena can push fast. The Shadow Shaman can push fast. The Gyrocopter can push fast. But I think when it comes down to it, EHOME's draft is just much, much better.
Oh, fair enough. We'll move into this final game of the day. And certainly, it does feel like EHOME are the favorites in this match as well, but it's anyone's game, right? We've seen this combination with the IO Gyro. We know it works, assuming you can get the farm. Why the hell is the tier 2 mid tower on the right side of the lane?
You didn't notice that until now, Mike?
No.
You're, no comments. I don't know. It's pretty funky, isn't it? It's like, huh.
Oh, it's on both sides.
Yes. It's something, Mike.
There goes my OCD, John. Ego.
Tips are flying out.
Yeah. Ego is making a run for it right now, copying a bit of harassment from Beyond.
30 seconds to battle.
Looks like that'll be it. Just both teams probably just going to take their respective bounty wins, although IG, they may end up with 3 again. I suppose early on, like, especially at this level 1 stage, like, it does feel like IG do certainly have an advantage if they do engage, especially with that Shadow Shaman just waiting in the tree line there. Though White is going to move his way in. Mian went for the Ether Shock. So nothing will come out of that, just a bit of harassment. They'll get their bounty runes though. It'll be 3 again to the way of iG.V. EHOME will seemingly be happy with just 1.
Yeah, exact same story as the last game. Really, it's a nice gold injection for iG.V, and it did help them out in their early game. So maybe this will help them out, although they already lose their Observer Ward, so that's going to be a bit painful over here at the top lane.
Faith Beyond and the Dazzle were dancing around the Observer Ward while the ball was taking it out, which was interesting. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just right-click it, but I think they were having a bit of fun with that Observer. Mid lane, ASD versus Butterfly Effect once again, although this time, rather than a Shadow Shaman, we see a DK. And I suppose Lina, again, is fairly standard these days, but I feel like an ASD with that DK going to be feeling a hell of a lot more comfortable over that Shadow Shaman that he had last game.
Definitely so. It does take a bit more to come in line and sustain yourself as the DK. Or at the very least, you probably need 1 item, which
Really is just the Soul Ring.
once that's up, again, you've seen this matchup before, the DK tends to start to take over a bit more because it doesn't cost him as much to just bam, breathe fire.
Yeah. Thing is though, this meta, I mean, we don't really have a meta yet, that's the thing, it's just too early, but it does seem like it does punish you for not getting, you know, a couple Wraith Bands or a couple Braces. So it's like this weird thing where it's like, do you really want the Soul Ring? Because you're going to be a lot less tanky than the opposing person in the lane. You can also see Butterfly Effect going for that second Null Talisman, because there's just so much more value in them now. ASD. Looks like he will oblige. He probably will get at least 1 bracer for himself on that DK.
Does look like it. Again, those early stats matter a bit too much to really ignore. That straight up Soul Ring Rush can cost you. We've seen it before, and it actually didn't work out too well. So you'd probably want to invest in a few value stats of your own to really sustain yourself in that lane. Make sure you're tanky enough, and then go for that Soul Ring.
Faith Beyond and Beyond. Just trading right clicks with each other at the moment. Of course, Beastmaster. We haven't talked about this hero very much at all, John, but it's back in that stage where you do end up going for the max ball first, because it does have quite a bit of right click now, and in fact, hold that thought. Dazzle copying a lot of damage and will end up getting bursted. The Mian, in fact, they might find Faith Beyond here. He's overextending. He will end up getting Mian, but Beyond will not be able to finish the job, it seems, but he will get a pretty valuable salve out of Faith Beyond.
Nice trade there for iG.V. They managed to get that kill and pop Faith Beyond's, salve, as you mentioned, so he has to ferry another one over. Sometimes Suna is just teleported in with his support, of course. Why use the courier when you have your own personal mule?
Indeed. Again, though, I was trying to basically say this ball, it's just so much more valuable on that Beastmaster now, especially in the laning phase, like that harassment. In fact, again, the Dazzle getting shackled up, but nothing will come of it. Beyond will commit that salve straight away as well, but now it looks like they're on the aggressive though. Dazzle. No shackle available on the Shaman, or there wasn't anyway. He doesn't go for it. Meanwhile, John, bot lane, the one we haven't talked about quite yet, Ego and Y, they're up against Dust and Lien. Of course, the Io Gyro lane, it does seem like it's actually working out very well for them at the moment. The Gyro is farming like an absolute champion, and Ego is only on 6 last hits in comparison to the 20 of the Gyrocopter. That is pretty good start for them.
Yeah, you do tend to see this lane matchup start out fairly well. The issue is, again, transitioning as you go on. Is it going to be able to find enough farm, or will EHOME apply the pressure at some point?
Well, right now, Ego's the one being chased down. Homing missiles there as well. He does waveform just in time. And he was strength morphing that whole time anyway. But still, your Morphling going to be struggling with farm at this stage. And Beyond as well, being chased down right now. This Beastmaster, very, very annoying indeed for the Legion Commander. Especially in conjunction with the Dazzle. Just throwing out the poison over and over again. Looks like Beyond will move forward. Gets a bounty room for himself. So Faith Beyond will take the respective one on the Radiant side. And things are still relatively quiet. 5 minutes in, a 1-2. Slight net worth lead for iG.Vitality. So very good start for them, I feel.
They are definitely getting a bit more from these lanes in terms of creep farm. Compared to EHOME, again, that comes down to probably stronger lane matchups and just being able to really force out Ego in that bot lane. Morphling has not been having a good time. He's a few points behind, hasn't hit level 4 yet, should in a bit, and really just copying a bit too much in harass.
I'm shocked they've left him alone. Like, they're going after mid lane. Butterfly will be the target, though ASD does he even have a stun available. He doesn't, but the Breathe Fire is there and he will connect it. They even forced the TP rotation out of Lien. So now the Gyrocopter going to be left alone for a bit. The top lane, they're going after the Dazzle right now. Beyond actually using the press the attack on Mian, trying to keep him alive, and he will do so. A very nice play from him. Faith Beyond still going to try and man fight this out with the double balls he has available, and in fact he might just find the Shadow Shaman anyway, and he does, and now Beyond's going to be in trouble. He doesn't realize how much damage he's copping. And with that ball, well, they do find the kill. Y rotates in and just fade bolts him to death. Very nice play indeed from the side of EHOME. And Ego, meanwhile, bot lane playing with fire. Just strength morphing and try and train right clicks with the Gyrocopter, which tends to not work out too well. But he is still alive on the brighter side.
Yeah, he has been, at the very least, not forced out of this lane, or, you know, he hasn't died in lane. So the Gyrocopter isn't accelerating too wildly in farm from hero kills. But still, Dust has been having a very good time in this bot lane. Just about to grab up his wand and his Wraith Band.
Mid lane, we just did see iG.Vitality. They're rotating with both their supports. They will take down the DK, but I gotta tell you, it took a bit of work. 3 heroes right-clicking it as he was shackled up, and in the end, they just had the Laguna, and even that almost looked like it wasn't going to be enough. They will go after a T1 mid tower though, and Faith Beyond will be there to defend. Meanwhile, bot lane, it looks like they are going after Dust. Ego making the chase, but no mana left. And he does end up dropping those spirits, connecting from Lien, and just a lot of damage that goes out into that Morphling.
I am really surprised they've left Ego alone for so long from EHOME. It feels like they're not prioritizing his farm in as much as they were prioritizing Fate Beyond on that top lane. That could be costly. Again, Morphling doesn't flash farm too well. He really wants to...
Does end up falling. ASD just chases him down. But I agree with your sentiment, John. It is a Morphling. It's a hard carry. It's your it's your counter towards that Gyrocopter, and you've just left him alone to pretty much struggle. They do end up finding Y at that bot rune as well. Laguna Blade committed for that Rubik kill, but well worth it at this stage of the game. With that, a 5-6 now, 8 minutes in, and it's still very, very even. considering that iG.Vitality basically won 2 of their lanes at
Dire's
least.
middle tower is under attack.
That top lane though,
Dire's structures
Faith
are
Beyond
fortified.
has won that out, and now ASD will take over. In fact, there will be an engagement at the bot. Rune, they will roar up Melina, and she will just get bursted. Ego doesn't even get the last hit, unfortunately. He did try to get it with the adaptive strike, but nevertheless, Faith takes it for himself, and well, it looks like this Beastmaster is going to have to carry for a bit for the side of EHOME.
I think that is how EHOME does tend to play. If they throw Ego under a bus, they really depend on Faith Beyond to start making plays, applying pressure on the map. And with a fairly fast Necronomicon coming out fairly soon, he will be able to apply that pressure. He can push quite fast, he can drop the Hawks around to really give you some good vision on the map, and he can close out the map slowly but surely.
Well, they're going after Beyond again. No Roar available. Beyond will just press the attack and back off. I think they're really relying on ASD to stun the Legion Commander up, but the problem is the Elder Dragon form wasn't available at the time.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Meanwhile, EHOME, they do lose their mid-tier 1 tower. Beyond is still there with those overwhelming odds, just trying to push them out, but well, the Necro 1 is available, as well as those 2 balls again.
Top tower is under attack.
It's just so easy to take down towers like this. They will find it.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Mind you, you look at the bot lane, iG.Vitality, they're also preparing for a secondary tier 1 tower. It's 4 heroes down, ready to go. Y is the only one there to defend, and that doesn't seem like it's going to work out too well. He could really only throw out a Fade Bolt. With that, another nice tier 1 tower being taken by iG.Vitality very, very early on. Not to mention, you see that gyro now, John. He's picked up those drums. He's going to go straight into that Maelstrom next, and once that Maelstrom's up, that's when you tend to see problems coming out for the opposing end.
Yeah, that does indicate a power spike for the Gyrocopter. He can flash farm really well, clear out waves really well, and do a lot of damage in a team fight. Whereas you compare that to Ego's farm, he's stuck on 2 Wraith Bands. He's trying to farm up for his boots. At the very least, he has a Morbid Mask now, so he can farm the jungle with some sustain, but
Well, this is unfortunate for the side of IG, although no, they relocate in with the gyro dust. Can they burst down to Ego? No, not quite yet. Now the Roar comes out. Faith Beyond, he actually just goes after Mian. He doesn't bother with the rest of them. Now Y's here, and their Morphling has survived. Relocate will be there just in time. I don't know how Ego survived that much damage, but I guess with the Strength Morph and the Morph, he managed to do it. iG.Vitality, they will lose their Shadow Shaman, but ultimately, neither team really loses too much.
definitely so. I feel like that's a much bigger win for EHOME. Again, saving Ego at this point, just making sure he can farm up, is your top priority. You want this guy to have some mid-game items, so he can fight that Gyrocopter when the need comes around. So far, you know, with what he has right now, it's not going to be a very pretty encounter when that team fight breaks out. So they need to buy some space for him. They need to make sure he lives. And as long as EHOME manages to do that for the next maybe 9 minutes, he should be able to bounce back.
He is struggling quite a hell of a lot, but
Radiant's middle
see how he
tower
goes.
is under attack.
he can't really sustain in that top lane now. Like, they've dropped the Serpent Wards and they're going to get the tier 1 tower. Even with that, like, you still have the Jewel available. Meanwhile, bot lane, though, ASD copying a lot of damage. He will end up falling.
It's the humiliation.
Another nice pick-off coming out from iG.Vitality. That does make it a 6-8, and the net worth, again, remaining very, very even. Now Ego making the chase onto Mian. He really wants to find this kill. Can he actually get it, though? The Wild Axes, Faith PR will end up grabbing the kill. And I feel like they would have missed out had he not done that. But it's almost like so unfortunate that every time Ego gets close to a kill, Faith Beyond takes it instead.
I mean, you gotta secure those kills, Mike.
Yeah.
You gotta secure those kills. That's what it is. It's not kill stealing, it's kill securing.
Absolutely. Beyond as well. May get caught out. I mean, there is a Roar available, and Faith Beyond, with a double damage rune, is running his way. Necro 2 book is up, and he will engage. And I don't see how he survived this, although Relocate coming in. Now they press the attack as well. Dust going to try and man-fight this with his IO, although Ego is there to back him up, and Dust is actually copying way too much damage right now. The Wild Axes as well come in. They're bringing in the whole cavalry, and they will get nothing out of it. EHOME will walk away more than safe.
And once again, a second I Relocate, not really leading to any sort of kills for iG.V. Instead, just kind of wasting farm they could be using for... kind of wasting time they could be using for farming. At the very least, in the end, you know, you don't lose Dust. But that was very close.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
It
attack.
look, you know, it doesn't look as scary as it should be, this combination coming out from iG.V, Mike. The Gyrocopter is not at that point where he's ridiculously tanky from the IO yet.
Certainly not. That being said, John, look at Beyond, and we questioned the Legion Commander pickup during the draft phase, but I mean, he's still trying to go for that Blink Dagger as that core Legion Commander. I don't believe we've seen one jewel come out yet this whole game. It's always a matter of, like, it seems like the first 15 to 20 minutes, the Legion Commander is basically useless every time it's been drafted so far.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
That does seem to be the tendency. It just applies a lot of pressure in lane and it sustains itself. But beyond that, it takes a while until you can, for most teams at least, to really start getting those deals off.
Mid lane. IO Gyro gonna be careful here. Faith Beyond has the Roar. He will of course choose the Gyro. Lien does not have a relocate available, and it looks like both mages end up dying right now. Lien just trapped in the tree line. They know exactly where he is. He does have a tether. He will TP as well. Ego will stun him up though. Another two very nice pickoffs, and it's like you said, they just don't look scary at all. Like, the Gyro has no damage being dished out.
It does take a bit more for this combination to really be terrifying. And by the time that's out, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Ego catching up in farm now. You know, he's still 500, 700 gold behind his own Dragonite, but he's definitely bouncing back from a really rough start. And once he's at least even with Lina, he's going to be very scary.
Uh-oh. Shadow Shaman moves in, has the Serpent Wards. They actually throw him into the pit, though Ego will already have the Aegis. Now he's going to man fight. The Jewel is there, but the Shallow Grave coming in just in time. Now the Gyro dishing out a lot of damage finally, but the Strength Morph from Ego not allowing him to die. They will end up finding Y though in the backlines, and now the Lina going to be in trouble. They'll find one pick off. Ego is still alive throughout all this. Dust gets stunned up. That is a hell of a long stun as well. And with that, can they actually take him out? Ego just morphing into Lina. He will give up his Aegis for this. I feel like that may have been a misplay, John. Like, they haven't really got a way to slow him down. They still find 2 for 2, and they only lost their supports. But I feel like Ego probably could have walked away with that Aegis.
He definitely could have, but, you know, if he got that kill in Gyro, that would definitely slow down his game. So I feel like it's a worthwhile risk to take. Especially, he was definitely trying to play on edge there. If he got that kill, it would definitely paid off. If he didn't, you know, he just wasted Aegis. Fine. It's not the end of the world. It was a pretty early Aegis. You're going to be able to contest for it when it comes out in the, you know, around the 20 minutes, you know, around that game time.
Oh, smoke coming out. iG.V. There will be an immediate roar from Faith Beyond. Who are they even going for? It will be Beyond, and again, this Legion Commander can't do much. They will even get Mian. It's one of those things, John. They're smoking up. The problem is there's no wards here to tell them who's around the area. They run up the hill and suddenly they're being roared up by Faith Beyond.
Yeah, and you have to remember the changes to Beastmaster, so the Hawks are invisible even while moving. They are at the set point, but they're invisible, they're moving out, so they're pretty much wards you can set from anywhere on the map. As long as they don't go under true sight, the enemy doesn't know they're there.
Well, that seems balanced.
Absolutely is, Mike.
Mid-tier 3 tower will end up dropping very quickly, and suddenly Ego, I mean, he hasn't got any items, but he's starting to hit decently. The wards were dropped to try and delay this Rax being taken down. You do see bot lane, Dust and Liana are there pushing out, but I don't feel like they're going to force them back. Like, they're going to get the Rax at least before they go, and they've already got them. Now, by the time he hit that tier 3 tower, he wants to get back into his own lane, so he goes up top. And it looks like EHOME already aware that they're not going to push any further. They'll throw Ego there to start farming. And with that, EHOME will probably continue to apply this pressure.
Definitely so. They are...
Dust. Look at Dust, John. The poor bloke, he just runs into the Beastmaster. Mind you, Faith Beyond actually backs off, surprisingly. His supports weren't really close enough to engage in that. But it just goes to show, you just can't... You've got to be real careful where you walk right now, because Faith Beyond is everywhere.
Yeah, he's just like a very, very terrifying horror movie agent. You go in that jungle, there's a serial killer waiting for you.
He's just gonna jump you, and he knows where you are because again, he has hawks everywhere. I can't help but keep restating just how strong those hawks are, Mike. Duration of 60, cooldown of 30, cast anywhere in an area on the map. Invis while moving.
It's going to be an engagement on ASD. The invis right now. There is a duel, however, going on, but it is on Ego. He is strength morph all the way. Can they actually burst him down? The answer is absolutely not. And now, well, they're going to re-engage on the side of EHOME. They take down the Shadow Shaman immediately, and now Dust will be the target. Poison is there. Why? He will not be able to catch anyone out. That's really reminiscent of those first team fights we saw where the relocate comes in, does absolutely nothing, and then they get out again.
Don't forget, the Shadow Shaman dies.
Yeah.
Every time that happens.
Yeah.
It must have happened 3 times now in this game. Relocate in, Shadow Shaman's in the area. Nothing happens to that relocate, they relocate out, and the Shadow Shaman's dead. It's not a good time for the Shadow Shaman. Again, as a support Shaman, you actually do want a few items. Probably not the Aether Lens. I'd say you usually want your Blink or an Agnes. It's basically a core Shaman, just slow. And you want those items up because you will be starting to fight with a Blink, or you will be pushing really hard with the Agnes.
Well, poor Lien will end up losing his life top lane. Gyro just left him. Now Faith Beyond going for solo kills. He will find the Shadow Shaman Mian. Though he will be surrounded. Buyback's coming out for this. Ego is there to help out, but I think he'll just back and there will be a duel. And that will be the first successful duel of the game, though. Mian, he will end up dying back to the illusions. And now Ego, he is a tough target. Why? What's he stolen? He stole the Light Strike Array. And that'll be it. A dieback comes out on the Shadow Shaman. You get Faith Beyond. I guess... perhaps you could call that worthwhile, John. I don't really know. ASD, meanwhile, has been pushing that top tier 2 tower as well. Butterfly going to be trying to defend that. Lien as well, dealing a fair bit of damage with those spirits, but he just TPs in front of them. Was that Shadow Shaman dying worthwhile for the Beastmaster? Like a dieback. I don't really feel like it was necessary for him to even buy back in that position.
I don't think so either, but again, they do secure the kill in Fate Beyond. With how far behind iG.V is, any kill is really good. So I suppose in the long term that is worthwhile. Shadow Shaman is probably going to be okay in the defense as well. He just needs to drop Mass Serpent wards and, you know, he can say goodbye. He's done his job for the most part now. You can't really rely on him on getting Shackle. I mean, it's always a bonus if you can stun lock someone for a while, but as long as he drops wards without dying first, I think you're happy enough. You know, you're happy enough you have something.
EHOME. Let's not going for that bot shrine. Beastmaster still sitting at the top. He's been at the top of the net worth the whole game pretty much. Mind you, we're only 22 minutes in, but in this patch right now, like today, this is pretty much the late game, John. We haven't seen games last more than 30 minutes, basically.
Yeah, I think, what's the latest one we saw? Was it the last game?
It was like 32 minutes or something.
Yeah, around about 33, 32, and that was already... That was pretty much the longest game we've seen so far. It's just been really fast. I want to point out, Mike, Fate Beyond does have his Boots of Travels up, and, you know, with the changes with TP Scroll, he has 2 ways of going around the map now, Mike.
He does indeed. Suddenly he becomes the nature's prophet. That is that's pretty potent. That really is. They're gonna start pushing down that bot lane. Roshan's still not available either, so if iG.Vitality wanted to try and snake that while they were taking that tier 2 tower, not gonna happen. ASD gonna start pushing to that bot lane, and it looks like they actually rotate around EHOME. Which is where the hell are they going? Looks like they're just looking for a pick-off. Every enemy though is pretty much in the in their own jungle. And you see the Gyro IO, they're going back down to that bot lane, and it looks like a bit of waste of time from EHOME. They will find the top shrine at the very least, I suppose. It did feel like they wanted a hero kill prior to this, but well, you take what you can get. And speaking of taking what you can get, John, the Roshan just respawned.
Yeah, right there for their picking, and I do believe they are being spotted out by this ward if they go in. So iG.V does understand that perhaps Roshan is up. Yeah, they do spot it in. So they might go for the contest here. I'm not sure. Relocate is up, but they're really not making their way down there yet. I think they might just give this one up.
I don't feel like they have a choice, really. Like, what the hell? How do you even engage into this? They'll just let it go. You know that Hawks probably scouted you out anyway if you were making your way there. Legion Commander, I mean, you look at that farm, it's, you know, to say the least, it's abysmal, and I'm not blaming that on Beyond. I'm just saying I don't think the hero is very good at all right now.
Radiant's middle barracks are under
I guess we both don't. We keep commenting on how bad it is. You gotta go down to that bot lane.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Radiant
Tier
structures
3 tower, just gonna be taken pretty much for free. Like, it just feels like there's really no initiation. They tried to in the back lines, but Mian gets taken down. Now Dust throughout the call down. The Roar is there through the BKB. Ego will get started. He suddenly has an Eye of Skadi. Ego copying way too much damage, but the Shallow Grave is there. Meanwhile, Butterfly goes down to the back lines, and Ego starts healing up throughout all this. He still has an Aegis anyway. He's going to end up getting Dust at the very least, and now they'll find a fourth in the IO. And only Beyond survives because he can't jump in, John. He's got nothing to jump in. Like, he's got a Blink Dagger, but he's just going to die instantly.
dire victory.
Yeah. I'm 9 to 26 at 25 minutes in, Mike. I'd say that's fairly convincing from EHOME.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's fair enough to say that.
Oh, it certainly is pretty convincing, John.
Oh, man.
This is the thing, like, we've mentioned it a few times, but every game, like, the longest game we had was like 32 minutes. Naturally, this is the new patch, so teams are going to try different things, and some teams may just be better than others and things like that, but you'd hope that there'd be slightly more balance. Like, I love the fact that we're out of 7.19. I absolutely love that, because I don't want to see Terrorblade every game again and Arc Wardens and all this garbage, but you know, you'd hope there's a bit more balance, because God forbid every game's going to end in 25 minutes, and there's going to be absolutely like no hype around any of the team fights.
Oh, I mean, it's still a fresh patch, Mike.
Yeah.
Everyone's still adjusting to it, so it should stabilize by the last few days of our stint at DPL for at least the November half of it.
Yeah.
Should stabilize around then. Maybe we'll see some teams adjust. You know, maybe we're gonna just see 25-minute game the entire time. Hopefully not. I do want some variation, but it's been fun to watch so far on the closer games.
On that note, John, hopefully tomorrow they're a lot closer. Any final words? That's it for today. We do have 3 more series tomorrow. In fact, before I ask for any final words, John, I'll just point out to the viewers what the games will be for tomorrow, if I can find them on my schedule. Which apparently I can't right now, so if you don't mind...
I can find it for you, mate.
No, I'm finding it, John. Just...
Oh, fine. What do you want me to do then? Jeez.
Alright. So tomorrow's series, ladies and gentlemen, IG, not iG.Vitality, but yeah, it is IG, will be up against PSG LGD in our first series. KG Luminous will be up against... It was Team Serenity, but I believe they've withdrawn from the tournament. So that will be changed. I'm not 100% sure who it is yet. And then we will have IG again playing in the final series, and that will be up against KG. So, John, as I asked you before, any final words to the viewers before we head off?
You know, I hope everyone's had fun today. Enjoying some fresh post-patch Dota 2 in the comp scene. Again, if you have any comments or feedback, me and Mike are reachable on Twitter. So, you know, just at us if you have complaints to make or if you have something to say, we're reachable there. And you're going to be stuck with us for a while. So, you know, if you've got complaints, let us know now.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for that, John. On that point, we'll head off. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back for the next 4 days anyway. So we'll see you tomorrow around the same time, 6 p.m. Australian time, 3 p.m. SGT, I believe, John, Singapore time. I probably should have the Chinese time, considering it's a Chinese tournament, John.
It's Singapore time, and you know it's Beijing time as well, Mike.
All right, John. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to head off. You guys have a great night ahead. Thanks for watching.